A quiet courtroom buzzed with whispers as a frail woman, her black shawl draped over her shoulders, clutched a worn-out purse in trembling hands. Her name was Martha Green, a poor widow who had lost everything, her husband, her home, and nearly her faith in humanity. The courtroom lights flickered above her as the judge, a man known for his arrogance, smirked from the bench. "Mrs. Green," the judge said mockingly, tapping his gavel, "you're telling this court that your late husband's property was stolen by a businessman, and now you can't pay rent or buy food. Tell me, what proof do you have?" The crowd chuckled softly, as if her misery were entertainment. Martha's voice shook. "Your Honor, I have no proof. Only the truth. My husband worked 20 years for Mr. Dalton, and before he died, he told me that land was ours. But Mr. Dalton changed the papers." The judge leaned back with a smirk. "No proof, no case. That's the law. Maybe you should have thought of that before wasting this court's time." Martha's eyes filled with tears. She'd spent months begging for help, at the police station, at legal offices, even churches. But no one cared about a penniless widow. Her husband's land had been taken, her home bulldozed, and now the same powerful businessman sat across the courtroom, smiling like a predator who already knew the verdict. As the judge prepared to dismiss the case, the heavy wooden doors of the courtroom burst open with a thundering sound. Every head turned. A group of bikers, massive men in leather jackets, their boots echoing on the marble floor, strode in. Their jackets bore a single emblem, the Iron Brotherhood. The leader, a tall man with tattoos crawling up his neck, took off his helmet and looked straight at Martha. "Sorry we're late," he said, his voice deep but calm. The judge frowned. "Who are you people? This is a courtroom, not a circus." The biker stepped forward, his eyes cold as steel. "We're here for Mrs. Green." The room went silent. Even the businessman, Mr. Dalton, looked uneasy. The leader turned toward the judge. "My name's Jack Turner. Martha's husband, Tom Green, was one of us. He was a brother. When he died, he told me to look after her if anything ever went wrong. Well, something's gone wrong." The judge scoffed. "You think a gang of bikers can intimidate the court?" Jack smiled faintly. "No, Your Honor. We don't need to intimidate anyone. We brought evidence." He handed a thick envelope to the bailiff, who passed it to the judge. Inside were signed documents, copies of the original land ownership papers, notarized receipts, and even photographs of Tom working on the land with Mr. Dalton. "This can't be real," Dalton stammered, his face turning pale. "Oh, it's real," Jack said quietly. "Tom made sure of it. He didn't trust you, Dalton. He told us to keep copies in case you ever tried to cheat his wife." The judge examined the papers, his smirk vanishing. This changes everything." Martha stood frozen, tears streaming down her face. For the first time in months, someone had stood up for her, not because of pity, but out of loyalty and respect for the men she loved. The judge cleared his throat, his voice less confident now. "It appears the property indeed belonged to the late Mr. Green. The court hereby rules in favor of Mrs. Martha Green. Mr. Dalton, you are ordered to return the land immediately and pay damages for unlawful seizure." The courtroom erupted in whispers. The same people who had laughed at Martha moments ago now stared at her with awe and shame. Dalton slumped into his seat, defeated. Martha turned to Jack and his biker brothers, her voice trembling. "I don't know how to thank you." Jack shook his head. "You already did, ma'am. Tom was a good man. We just kept our promise." When the hearing ended, Martha walked out of the courthouse flanked by the Iron Brotherhood. Reporters snapped photos, but she didn't care. For her, this was more than justice, it was a miracle born from love, loyalty, and courage. Outside, as the sun dipped behind the courthouse, Jack handed her a small envelope. Inside was a letter written in her husband's handwriting. "If you're reading this, it means I'm gone. But I told the boys to make sure you're never alone. Don't let the world break you, Martha. Justice always finds its way, sometimes on two wheels." Martha pressed the letter to her chest, tears falling freely. For months she had felt invisible. But now, as the rumble of the bikers' engines filled the air, she realized something profound: there are still good people in this world, and sometimes, they come from the most unexpected places. That day, she didn't just win her land back. She regained her faith. The judge, watching from his window, felt a pang of guilt. He had laughed at a widow's pain, only to witness true justice carried in on leather and steel. And somewhere deep inside, even he felt changed. In the end, Martha rebuilt her home on that land. Every Sunday, the Iron Brotherhood would visit for coffee and pie, parking their roaring bikes beside her little house. The noise no longer scared her, it comforted her. It reminded her of her husband, of friendship, and of the day the world finally stood up for the poor widow who refused to give up. And every time the wind carried the sound of engines in the distance, she smiled, whispering, "Thank you, Tom, you kept your promise."